Hey there, I'm Sal. Thanks for checking out the video. Today I'm happy to introduce my new daily driver to the channel. It's a 2004 Audi A4 Avant, which is the wagon version. It's got the 1.8 liter turbo engine up front. And then what really sold me on this car was it has a 6-speed manual transmission. The Avant with the 6-speed, it's a really hard combo to find. They don't come up for sale very often. So when this one came up really close to my house, I kind of had to jump on it, and I'm super happy that I did. Today I'm gonna just kind of walk you around the car, show you what I got, and then start to personalize it to my liking a little bit. Not all the modifications you see are going to be staying. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I thought we'd kind of start just walking around the car while I tell you a quick story, because this is actually my third B6 A4. B6 is just the model year. It goes from, I believe, 2002 to 2005. But yeah, my first car in high school was actually a B6 A4. I bought it from a friend of my uncle. I got a really good deal on it. It was a sedan version. It had the 3-liter V6 in it, and it was in a pretty rare color. It was a dark green. I forget the exact name of the color. Yeah, I love that car. It was an automatic, but it was a great first car. But I only had it for, I think it was like 2 months. And then I was coming home from hockey practice late at night, and I dozed off at the steering wheel, and I hit a telephone pole, and I totaled the car. It was, it rattled me up pretty good. It was pretty, earth-shattering for me to, total a car. I had just bought it. I'd only been driving for a couple months at that time, and it really just proved to me that you got to be on your game when you're driving a car. Like, anytime you're not 100%, even for just a few seconds, can lead to disaster. And I saw that firsthand. It really bummed me out, as you can imagine. I just bought the car, totaled it, and I was kind of SOL at that point. So at that point, I was driving the family minivan around. So I was pretty eager to get out of that and back into another car of my own. One of the first things that I wanted to do is try to look for another Audi, because I had only just started to get a hang of the car and an appreciation for it. So I looked a little bit more and found another almost identical Audi A4. Is another 2002 and 3-liter V6 automatic transmission, same exact deal, but it was a dark gray. And me and my dad drove up to New Hampshire, picked it up, and that was my car for the rest of high school, all the way through the first couple of years of college. Yeah, that car served me pretty well. Overall, once I moved away, it started having a lot more problems. My dad kind of took it under his wing as his project car. He had the whole front of the engine off. He was doing, timing components, the whole top of the engine rebuild. It was a pretty in-depth project for my dad. But what didn't scare me away from this car was it has the 1.8 liter engine, the inline 4 that's turbocharged, as opposed to the V6 that has proven to be pretty problematic in these cars, not just in the one that I owned. So that made me feel a little bit better about it. But I think for me, what is so special about these cars is they just don't make them like this anymore. It's pretty small. I'm pretty sure it's smaller than a current like Audi A3, but it's still got, a decent amount of room in the back for passengers. I love having the hatchback. I think it's just a very unique style with a good amount of space back here. And then, of course, the 6-speed manual transmission. Obviously, they're pretty hard to come by anyways nowadays, but never mind in a wagon like this. So let me pop the hood for you. We can go check it out under here. You can see it's got this hood, bra, whatever you call it, that probably going to be taken off. It's kind of a cool look, but I think I just prefer the clean look otherwise. So looking in the engine bay, try to get my shadow out of here. You can see it's got the inline 4. One of the previous owners did some modifications to this engine. I believe it's stage 2. So you can see it has an aftermarket intake. It has upgraded coil packs from the 2-liter Audi motor as well as it's got an aftermarket downpipe. Let's see if I can show down there. It is catted, which is good. The car actually is not very loud at all. It's a really nice tone, but nothing crazy by any means. I'll also show you quickly it has an aftermarket catback. It's a Miltech exhaust. Again, like I said, pretty docile, but just a little bit of sound, which helps, especially when you're driving stick, hearing what the engine's doing. Especially if you don't follow the channel, I have a Nissan 240SX S13, and that thing's a little bit more rowdy, so you can really hear what's going on all the time. But yeah, overall, the engine felt super smooth. When I test drove it, that's what really sold me on it. The engine, transmission, everything felt really solid. And yeah, I'm really excited to dig into it a little bit more and just kind of see how I can make it as good of a car as it can be, because it's, you know, like I mentioned, it's a pretty rare spec here to have an Avant with the 6-speed. So I'm going to try and keep it in really good condition and yeah, hold on to it as long as I can. Also wanted to give you a quick clip of what the car looks like running. Starts right up, purrs really nicely, nothing, no weird noises. The transmission shifts so nicely. It's a very different feeling transmission than the Nissan. The Nissan is super notchy, and this is it's just a lot smoother. It's much better for daily driving, so I'm really happy with that. I'll show you what the exhaust sounds like outside. You might not even be able to hear it. It's like I said, it's pretty tame. So at this point, I still haven't really talked through why I decided to buy this car. I still love my first-gen Tundra. It's treated me very well, and don't get me wrong, it's not going anywhere, but it just isn't the best daily driver. It gets 15 miles per gallon, it's not super comfortable, and when I take it on longer highway trips, you know, 3, 4, 5 hours in the car, the truck just isn't built for that. It does it, but it's just not really optimized for that sort of stuff. Plus, the back seat is so small. I always hate cramming people back there, so shout out to Mom, Kayla, Lika, Zeke, Victoria, Vincent, Stephen, Michael, anyone else who's needed to suffer through a ride in the back of the truck. So for me, having a car with more space for passengers was becoming more of a priority, and I seriously considered upgrading to a double cab Tundra, but that really only solves the seating problem. It's still a pickup truck that isn't optimized for daily driving or highway cruising. So enter the A4 Avant. It'll get much better gas mileage, be a super comfortable cruiser for me on the highway. It'll have the space to hold more people, and then of course we can't discount the nostalgia piece of me owning my first car again, but in the spec I always wanted, the Avant with the 6-speed manual transmission. So that's the good, but this car isn't without its own issues, and most of the bad is also kind of the ugly. It's got this pretty gnarly dent in the passenger door, so hopefully PDR could get that out. I'm honestly not sure. And then it's got this small rust spot at the bottom of the driver door. Neither is a huge deal, but it's something I'd like to address at some point. On the interior, it's got these aftermarket glow shift gauges, which are good quality stuff, but they're routed in this really janky way across the dash. I'm not a huge fan of this look, and I'm definitely going to be taking this out and maybe moving the gauges somewhere else. I mean, they're good to have for monitoring engine stuff, but I'd rather not have them just stuck on the dashboard like that. Fortunately, the whole thing is just Velcroed down like you can see, and there won't be any screw holes through the dashboard. Also, a bunch of the buttons and switches inside are just showing their age, which is very normal for these old German cars because they all use this weird rubbery coating that wears off super easily. So I'm going to be going through and trying to replace and clean these up as best as I can. And then what will probably be the most satisfying for me is doing a full paint correction on this car. The paint has seen much better days. It's got this weird alligator skin thing going on the hood. It's almost like someone put saran wrap down and then it rained and then it dried up. But I'm confident that a buff and polish should bring that paint back no problem. Same deal with a lot of these smaller scratches and scuffs from just being a 20-year-old car. I know it won't be perfect, but dang, it'll be a whole lot better and it'll just be really satisfying, I think. Also, the headlights are pretty fogged up and have this weird PPF sticker sort of thing on them, so I'll be addressing that soon. The car came with these bright red seat covers and steering wheel cover. Not exactly my style, so I won't be putting them back on, but I do appreciate how well they preserve the stock seats and steering wheel. Same deal with the quilted leather floor mats. They actually really protected the carpets and kept them in great condition. I gotta say though, the car must have been really something with these red seats and the quilted floor mats. Some real Euro tuner vibes going on back in its prime. But I'm happy to be going back to stock. That's just kind of how I prefer my things to be. So making my way around the car, the good news was that it actually came with the OEM rubber floor mats for the back seats and then the OEM carpet mats for the fronts. I'd love to pick up some OEM rubber ones up front to complete the set. I just kind of prefer the rubber because my heel always digs a hole through the carpeted ones. I also removed these window visor things, you know, just fake carbon and not really my style. Next was the front bra, which I admit I almost kind of think it looks cool, but I don't know, I just got to take it off and have that clean look up front. And then the last thing for today, probably the most controversial, I had to take off the cargo carrier. This thing, I think, looks really cool in the car actually, but there's two things. One, it creates a ton of wood noise above like 50 miles an hour, and it probably hurts the fuel economy quite a bit too. And two, I just have a hard time driving around all the time with this massive empty box on top of my car. I know it's for the style, I know, but it's just a little hard for me to justify. So let me know your thoughts on the cargo box. I'm not entirely opposed to throwing it back on. So there you go, that's the introduction to my new car. Hope you guys like it. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about it, and I'm looking forward to driving it. So yeah, with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and have a great rest of your day. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays if you're watching this when it goes up. See ya.